17 wrestlers, 3 different categories, and 1 question. Resign or release? Welcome back, guys, to Fog Wrestling, and we're going to be looking at all the WWE wrestlers whose contracts are expiring in the year 2024, and we're going to rate them, we're going to rank them, we're going to decide whether or not they should stay in the company or whether they should be released. So we do have 3 categories. There is obviously category at the top, resign, we've got the category at the bottom, release, and we've got one in the middle, which is undecided. Basically, if we're not 100% sure, if we don't really know, if we're sitting on the fence, if we're looking at possibilities, then we might stick them in there. So if you haven't done enough to get re-signed, but maybe you could still do something with a character change or a heel turn or a push or a move to a different brand, then maybe, just maybe, the undecided category is for you. But there's some people that you just can't really help them, and therefore it's downtown to release town.
Brown down. Maybe, just maybe, we can end the wrestling tier list with more people in the better categories than the worst categories. Because I've never seen that before on this channel.
I think it could happen here.
It could happen. And we may as well just start with Kofi Kingston.
Yeah, Kofi Kingston, it's a new day. Yes, it is. It's a new video. It's a new chance for Kofi Kingston to actually do well in one of our feds. Can he be re-signed? Should he be re-signed? Is there room for Kofi Kingston in WWE in the year 2025 and
way, right?
beyond?
If he was released, I don't think he would be missed. But I would keep him. Believe that. Is that a shocker for me? Maybe, but I mean, I think there's a lot of people on this
Why
list.
would you keep him?
Because I think he's a good experienced head to keep. He's a former world champion, and he's a decent mid-card guy that you can rely upon. There you go.
I'm okay with keeping him, but I think the New Day's run its course, and I think it ran its course years ago.
Well, absolutely.
I
go back to Jamaica.
Yeah, Jamaican Kofi.
SOS.
I think.
theme.
I mean, once he won the world title and then lost it, I would have broken the New Day up then. So, I'll stick him in re-sign, but you know what? I wouldn't be upset if he left.
No.
Up next we have Xavier Woods, the only member of the New Day not to become a world champion. I don't think he ever will become a world champion. Hell, the guy can't get a mid-card belt, never mind a world title. Just seems like, yeah, he just seems like, when you look at the New Day, you could predict he was going to be the guy that wasn't going to go on and have the most success, and that's turned out to be true.
No, it has turned out to be true. Could he be the only New Day member in release category? I'm going to go yes. I'm going to put him in release. He's not as good as the other two. Yeah, I'm going to release him, man. Because you know what? It's not only that he's not as good as the other two. It's like he feels nowhere near the other two in terms of like what they can bring to the table, and it's never going to change, man. If they were ever going to push him, I mean, 3 years ago he won King of the Ring. That's ages ago. Release for me.
And who remembers him as King of the Ring?
Not me. The only reason I do is because King of the Ring was last month and they were hyping him up as a former king anyway. The King, off with his head.
Yeah,
release.
He's never impressed me. What's your best Xavier Woods moment in WWE? I don't think he has one.
No.
I think you look at Kofi Kingston, the Jamaican gimmick was pretty cool. He had that decent feud with Orton when he first came in.
This isn't necessarily the best thing he's done, but the only thing I'm going to remember him is being a part of a sex tape with Brad Maddox and Paige. And that's a bit of a stain on him. I think of the New Day, I think of Kofi and Big E. I don't really think of this guy. Is that harsh on him? I don't know.
We'll stick him in release. I'm tempted to put him in undecided and see if he can have... What about undecided? And I just think the New Day need to split up. I'm not opposed to him being released though if you really want to stick him in there.
Alright, we'll keep him undecided then.
Undecided?
Guy.
Right.
Up next.
Since I look fucking bullshit. Up next, I'm afraid I've got some bad news. Will it be bad news for Wade Barrett? Should he be resigned? Should he be released? Put it this way, there's 3 shows in WWE. I don't think there's 6 better commentators than Wade Barrett. I'm not a massive fan on the guy. I do think he is pretty damn boring. But for me, there's a role for Wade Barrett in WWE, whether it be as a commentator. I mean, would this guy do any worse as a GM? Would he do any worse than Nick Aldis or Adam Pearce? I don't think so. Could be a guy that just does premium live event shows where he does the whole kickoff panel. I think there is room for Wade Barrett in WWE. I'm not a massive fan. I do think he's boring, but I just don't see enough people pushing him out of his spot.
I agree, I'd keep him, right, but I would actually like to see him in an in-ring capacity. Is that done? What age is Barrett, man? He can't be much into his 40s.
I think injury wise it is done, like, but here we'll stick him in re-sign for now. Up next we have Big E. Big E. I think his world title reign was terrible, worse than Kofi's for sure. I mean,
You know what,
at least Kofi had that WrestleMania moment, and I don't agree with it, but when you get a title win at WrestleMania, you're remembered. Big E just really wasn't remembered. I'll remember him for beating Bobby Lashley when he shouldn't have. I mean, he won the world title and he's still doing this whole gay gimmick where he comes out thrusting his hips and his pelvis and shit like that. For me, that was awful. But I think it's sad what happened to the guy. He got dropped on, needless spot. Is it Big E's fault though? Should he have just refused to take an overhead belly to belly on the outside? Probably. What does that add to the match? Adds fucking nothing.
Yo, but I think you've got to factor in things, right? Big E is probably never going to wrestle again. They're not really using him as a commentator. He gets whipped out of the kickoff shows on pay-per-views. Think of the wages the guy's on. I'm tempted for release. If the guy can't work and you're not going to use him apart from kickoff shows, I don't see much point of keeping him.
See, I would probably put him in undecided, and because I'm just not sure what will happen with him in the future if he can wrestle.
Yeah, but say he can't wrestle, I think you've got to release the guy.
I think there's a personality role for him.
Yeah, but they're not using him.
I would
much rather him as GM.
I think
he's got a bit of like, see if you're going to be a face GM, at least have like a bubbly personality. And Big E's got that. Not to sound fucking gay, but at least he has something. It's better than AJ Styles.
I think Big E could be a good talker. Why can't he be a heel? Why can't he be a manager?
Why can't he be? Well, you know what? Yeah,
I'd put him in undecided. I just think they need to do something. I think the New Day's run. I don't want to see. I know we put Kofi and re-sign, but I don't want to see the New Day continue. They need to split them up and just do something different.
Fair enough. Right. Up next, Big E's going in undecided.
But we see when you look at Big E, it's like, could he not be in that Pride group? Not that I think that should be a group, but
I mean, he could be, but fucking no, man. The Pride. It's the opposite of the Pride.
Right. Up next, we have the
Dishonor.
We have the Viper, Randy Orton. By the way, we're not actually putting them in any particular order. There's just 3 categories.
Yeah, because we were Orton would go to the top. He's got to re-sign.
Yeah, he got to re-sign. Great wrestler. A bit boring, not going to deny that. But, I mean, when in an era where there's basically barely any stars, you can't not afford to be re-signing one of the top guys left.
I mean, I look at this list and maybe barring one, he's in a league of his own.
So for me, Randy Orton's on this list. You re-sign him. I think he's got one last title reign in him.
I agree.
I don't really want him to get to 16.
Well, I mean,
I see no reason to him getting to 15 though.
I think he's got multiple title reigns left in him, but the way WWE's going, you just don't get that.
Yeah, it's crazy though, because see like 2017 when he won his last one, or was it 18, whatever, you would have thought this guy was probably going to break the record. But WWE's went from maybe on average, what would you say on average? Maybe the title would change maybe once every 3 months?
Yeah.
I think it was probably more. But let's say I would say maybe from like the PG era, right? I would say maybe roughly the title changed every 3 or 4 months. You're looking at it now, it's like, I mean, Roman Reigns, 4 fucking years. This Cody run could go on for a long, long time.
It could.
I think Damian Priest is a transitional champ, but there's not going to be many more title opportunities.
I need to get in here, by the way. See if Cena or Orton aren't going to beat Ric Flair's record, then fucking no one should, because the next generation is just going to be a million times worse than these guys.
I agree.
I think if Cena or Orton aren't going to do it,
no one will.
No one should do it.
Well, no one will they really?
No one will do it, but my point is, I don't want in like 20 years some fucking jobber beating Ric Flair's record. And that is not that I think Ric Flair, I think he's about a dickhead.
Woo!
But it is what it is.
Up next, we have Pat McAfee. For me, re-sign.
Yeah, best commentator when he's there.
Yeah, best commentator when he's there. Guy brings a breath of fresh air to WWE. The guy made Cole pretty bearable actually for a while, and I think him on SmackDown roughly was it around 2020, 2021. maybe the beginning of 2022. SmackDown actually felt good. The comment, and I don't know when was the last time I genuinely felt commentary was good, but his little run with Michael Cole on SmackDown was good. Personally, I don't think they're that hot right now on Raw, but like it's similar to like I said with Wade Barrett. There's not that many people better though. There's no one really better right now than Pat McAfee. So there's no you can't release your best guy in whatever role he's in. So therefore, he's getting re-signed every day of the week.
Yeah, no, he's getting re-signed. That is it.
Up next, anything to add about
no,
Pat McAfee?
He's the best commentator going.
Fair enough.
And you know what? He's a luxury to have. It's more of a case of will he re-sign rather than...
True, I think that's actually the bigger issue. Up next, we have Natalya Farty-ass. I just don't see the point of re-signing Natalya. You've got all this next generation coming through from NXT. She is literally just there to stink the joint out, and then they send her down to NXT to beat the up-and-comers. I'm sick of Natalya. I've never liked Natalya. The only reason she's had a job this long is because of her family connections and the fact that she is a member of the Heart Foundation. She talks about Guinness Book World Records. Yeah, you're breaking the records for the women because of longevity. It's not because you're good. It's not because you're the most talented. It's not because you're great. You're not the best woman of all time. I don't care if you've been there since 2008. You fucking suck. It's as simple as that. You can call yourself the BOAT. Nobody else is calling you it because you're not it. And I would put Natalya in release.
Stick her on a boat and sail her through the 7 seas. It's release. You know what? Could have been released over a decade ago.
Yeah, when was our last relevant run in WWE? Probably as close to a decade ago.
Yeah.
Be honest.
Probably.
So yeah, Natalya for me. Release. Up next, got Chad Gable. I think it has to be re-sign. Guy's doing great right now on Raw. Really mastering his craft. He's one of the best things on the Red brand. I just wish that, I don't know, I kind of just wish that they would add Kurt Angle to the mix with the whole Olympic style. And I mean, there's a lot of links comparing him to Angle. I think it'd be great to see Angle in the Alpha Academy. Hell, maybe the Angle Academy. Is that something we could get? Is that something that Chad Gable would need to take him to the next level? I mean, could you buy Chad Gable as a main eventer, a world champion, if he had Kurt Angle by his side? I would say yes.
No, I would say yes, and I think he's got to get re-signed. You know, I look at Chad Gable and he's not an undecider. He's a re-signer, but not in that way. He has to be re-signed, in my opinion.
Aye, whatever. That made no sense, but I agree with you. Yeah, brother. Up next, we have...
because people can resign from their job, like they quit, and I mean, no, he has to get re-signed.
Now, apparently, he hasn't made a decision yet, and he might be considering AEW. Do not fucking do it, you moron. All the nice things I've said about Chad, if he goes to... And I've no problem, right, with somebody going to AEW and making money, and we can talk about that with the next guy. But Chad Gable is one of the best things going right now in WWE. If he thinks that he can go to AEW, leave WWE, and do better work in AEW than he's currently doing right now in WWE, then he is a madman. He has lost the plot.
He's a madman.
I don't even think he can consider going to AEW.
No, I agree with that. Because it's not like with Ricochet, right? Ricochet's WWE best work is way behind him. Chad Gable is in the midst of it. He's in the middle of it. Why would you leave? No, yeah. I think his problem is, though, he's got this match against Sami Zayn for the IC title, doesn't he, coming up?
And he's going to lose it.
Aye, but you know what? Why not leverage, like, here, I'll re-sign if I win the belt. Try a good old Bret Hart back in the day manoeuvre.
Bit weak there, ain't it?
Bit weak. Fuck him. Nah, man, I'd give the belt to Chad Gable.
Anyway, for me, Chad Gable re-signed. Up next, we've got Ricochet. The guy has apparently, as of the last 24 hours, handed in his notice. He wants to leave. Regardless of that, I would have just put Ricochet, honestly, in the release category. For me, in terms of guys that are on the main roster and have been on the main roster for a considerable amount of time, so I'm not counting people that literally have just been on maybe Raw or SmackDown for like a year or whatever. In terms of mainstays on the main roster, I would say he's hands down the worst guy on the mic. He's a small guy with no character, no personality, looks very bland, and all he has to offer is that style that I absolutely hate in wrestling. The flip, flying, diving, flopping over the top rope. That's the Ricochet style. That's all he's got. That's the one thing he's good at, and it's the one thing I despise. So for me, it's release.
Yeah, it's release for me. I mean, he's going to leave anyway, but even without that, even if he's signed a 10-year deal, I'd fucking release him. So, yeah, release in there in Italia. Can't complain.
Up next, we have the phenomenal AJ Styles. Now, I mean, if you asked me a year ago, I'd have been tempted to put him maybe not in the top category. I'd have been like, you know what, why not go try and make a bit of money? Your career's going nowhere. You can't have many years left. Could we have seen AJ Styles return to TNA? Could we possibly even get that with this Let's say WWE, right, and TNA do get into working relations. Why can't... What are TNA getting for it? If they're going to give their top guys and top women to WWE, can't we get some sort of appearance with AJ Styles in TNA?
I mean, we could, but what I would say with AJ Styles is, yes, it's the best work he's done in years right now, right? Since the Boneyard match. But he's going to lose to Cody Rhodes, and then what? Honestly, I'm not saying I'd release him because of what like he's bad. I just think AJ Styles would benefit if he go into AEW. I do honestly think that, because I think once he loses to Cody Rhodes, it is going to be Jobber City. They're not going to book him right. And not that AEW will, by the way. I just think it would be refreshing to see him there. But I think with Edge, because Edge is a WWE guy, I don't think he ever should have went. But AJ Styles is always going to be a TNA guy, isn't he?
Aye, for me.
And that's why I think it doesn't... I know, that's why it doesn't really bother me, him going to AEW. But for Edge, it's different.
I wonder if AJ Styles even would like a wee run in TNA to end his career. But then again, do you really want to go for WrestleMania?
To 10 people.
I mean, I don't know.
And AEW's about 100 people, so... yeah, I mean, it's re-sign, obviously, but I wouldn't be against seeing him go and seeing what he could do.
You want to end your career on a high, don't you?
True.
But who knows, maybe AJ will get to go back to TNA with this WWE relationship that they've got going at the moment. I think that's a possibility. AJ Styles then going and re-sign. Next we have Sheamus. I like Sheamus, nothing bad to say against Sheamus. I think he should be a main eventer in today's world. I know a few people in the comments were saying the guy's not a draw. I mean, I've never claimed he's a draw, but again, like you said, who really is a draw? Let's be honest,
There's one
right?
guy on this list that's a draw, and he's not even that big a draw.
There's nobody really. Is he, though? And I know the guy you're talking about, and I wouldn't say he is.
Yeah, but I said there's only one guy on this list that is a draw, but he's not even that much of a draw.
I think what draws now in I think it's more what the person's doing that draws rather than the person themselves. See, back in the day, there was guys you could just stick on a show, and the fact that they were on that show, the fact they've got the name, they are who they are, they were going to draw. See, now, I don't necessarily think that any of these guys are draws. I think it's more what their current work is that is drawn that's the big thing.
That's the big draw.
Like, Hulk Hogan could have stunk the joint out for 6 months, still going to be the biggest draw.
Oh, aye, absolutely. That's just how it works.
Whereas, with these guys, it's more a...
Sheamus can put banger after banger on, but he's still Sheamus.
Like, I'll stick him in re-sign.
Yep.
To me, he should be a main eventer.
Right.
So it is what it is.
Up next, we've got Alexa Bliss.
Career's been kind of ruined since the whole Bray Wyatt thing, if we're being completely honest.
I actually don't see much of a future for her. I don't know. I think I can honestly see her just being done with wrestling. But again, I obviously would keep her. But kind of like AJ Styles, it's almost like, is there much more here for you? Not in the AEW is that the grass is greener, but you almost get the feeling that she just won't be back. And I think if he won't be back, release. But if he can come back, you are an asset to the company. I'll put her in re-sign.
Yeah, I'll put her in re-sign as well, but I'd be interested to see what direction they go with Alexa Bliss. I think she's the best person, the best female in WWE on the mic. I would definitely say that.
No, when was the last time we've seen her though?
It has
2 years.
It has been a while, and her last run really wasn't very good.
No.
Now there is rumours that she could be coming back with this Wyatt Six family thing, but I mean that Wyatt Six thing has been speculated for like almost 18 months now, and it just hasn't happened.
Yeah.
So I mean I'm not convinced we're getting that, but we'll see. Can Alexa Bliss go back to being the goddess? I don't know. I think that's probably in the past.
I think you surpassed it. Right, up
That's what it is.
next.
We've got Montez Ford, right? I think the Street Profits suck. There's no doubt about it. This guy is certainly the better of the two. I would put him in undecided. I would like to see how this guy gets on as a singles guy, but yeah, for me, I'm done with the Street Profits. But there's no doubt that he is head and shoulders above his partner. So therefore, I would kind of like to see what he has to offer us in a singles run. But I mean, either way, I'm not too bored. See if the guy got released, I wouldn't really care. If he signs a 4-year deal with WWE, I'd like him to try something different.
Yeah, I'd put him in undecided, but I'm leaning towards release.
Right, so undecided.
Oh, but my wife's Bianca Belair.
I mean, a guy that if he got offered a job in AEW, I'd say go take the money.
Yep, go get that smoke.
Go get the smoke, buddy.
Right, up next, Kevin Owens. He's been in WWE for like almost a decade. I mean, I'm tempted for release. I just think with AJ, it's similar to AJ Styles. It's like you've done everything. Your character does not fucking change, and when it does change, you turn heel and feud with Sami Zayn. That's
to be fair, he hasn't done that in a long time.
No, he hasn't. But I'm not. People would argue he's one of like the established like faces of the company.
How bad was their tag team title reign, by the way?
Oh, it was awful. I'm tempted for release here. This guy's on big money, and I just don't think if he left, it would be a big deal.
Well, you know what? We're not really factoring in the WWE finances because I'm pretty sure they've got better finances than us. So if they want it, Kevin Owens,
I have a decent bank account. Don't know about that, but anyway, silence. Kevin Owens.
Whose bank account are you comparing it with, by the way? WWE's, TKO's, Triple H's?
Fucking TNA's, to be fair, only one close. But ECW 2001.
You know what? I would say re-sign Kevin Owens. I gotta be honest. Like I would probably put him in the re-sign.
Yeah, but he's became stale like a loaf of bread that's been laid out in the sun for about 4 weeks.
He peaked with that Austin match at Mania 38.
Aye.
I mean, that's as good as it got for him. Don't get me wrong, I think the chase for the titles against the Bloodline was pretty good, but
yeah, but
but you knew, just like Bayley, you knew when they won the belt it was just going to die, and it did. Even Kevin Owens and Sami
Zayn. Jericho, to be honest.
Well, that was good as
well.
You
can say he peaked with Austin, right? And I'm not going to take anything away from the big Texas rattlesnake, but see, at the end of the day, it was a match with Austin. It wasn't a fucking program.
Yeah, I know, but he could have retired after that match, and I think he'd have been happy.
Fair enough.
If you want to go out on top, then going out against Austin isn't a bad way to go. Put him in, re-sign him, but you're not too sure.
Yeah.
Are you undecided?
I'm undecided, man. I think he's a big stale fat sack of shite, so...
I think he's got name value. I would have put him in re-sign, but here, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt.
Name value? Have a word with yourself there, fella.
Up next we have Sami Zayn. Has been one of the better guys over the past 3 years. I'm not going to deny that. I thought the whole conspiracy thing... I mean, remember in 2021 when SmackDown was actually good? You had Roman Reigns, you had Seth Rollins, Edge, Sami Zayn, you'd shit going on.
Absolutely, and unlike Owens, he has reinvented himself, but I think this is the worst period he's had for a few years.
Yeah, and you just knew it was going to happen. The guy's got nothing other than his little tune, and the crowd sing along, and when that finishes... It's just a haluva kick, and that's really all Sami Zayn has.
Let's go.
I mean, he's impressed me. He was probably one of my least favourite guys when he first came in. El Generico. That literally summed him up. A generic guy.
It's hard to go from the worst to the best, but he did it. He fucking
did
it.
For that reason alone, for his performances and for his character and for what he's done, I have to say re-sign.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with re-sign.
But I mean, like 5 years ago, I'd have been putting him in release every single category.
Absolutely.
Every single fed.
Talking of a guy, though, that could go in release, it's D-Jack. And I like D-Jack, but I know for a fact Triple H is doing nothing with this guy.
Yeah, he's been drafted to Raw, and he hasn't been seen since he was drafted to Raw. Well, for me, it should be re-signed, because I think there's big things. I like D-Jack. I'm not going to... Just because Triple H is dropping the ball, I'm not going to say release. But I am worried that this guy will be released.
Yeah.
I don't want him to be released, but I'm worried.
Apart from Ricochet, he's going to be the guy to get released. Most released, because...
But we think he should be re-signed?
Yes.
Yeah, for me, you've got a big guy here that can actually wrestle, imposing character, got a decent theme song, decent gimmick, just looks like a fucking badass, so I don't know why he doesn't get a chance. And speaking of being a badass, this guy is just a...
Fat ass.
A bad apple, a badass. A bad tag team partner. He lets down Montez Ford. It's like I remember
He
when
works in slow motion.
remember when they pulled out Bobby Lashley, that King of the Ring, and they put this guy in his place. You're thinking, fuck me.
May as well just forfeit the fucking round.
Why wouldn't you put Montez Ford in?
I know, but forfeit the round.
And the guy lost to Tamaloa or Tamatonga
Uncle Tammy, well, I don't
in
know.
2 minutes. A guy that couldn't beat anybody else. So, yeah, Street Profits not for me. And this guy is, it's so obvious that he is the weak member of this team. I think he should be released.
No, yeah. I mean, he's not as bad as the other two. I feel like the Street Profits are off. Yeah, he's released, man, every day of the week.
Street Profits haven't been relevant since their first year on the main roster.
No.
They're literally just two guys that come out now to make a save. I mean, that's it. So there you go, guys. That's our list right there. Let us know what you think down below. By no means are we saying everybody that's in RESIGN is great, but I think there's potential. I think there's stuff to do with them on the roster. Whereas the people in release, if I never seen them again on WWE television, I would not care less. I could not give a single fuck if those guys just disappeared.
No, absolutely not. But here, I tell you what, load of people in RESIGN. What's that all about?
RESIGN, buddy. Anyway, that's it. Till next time. Peace.